Greetings and welcome to the Nerd College. Quick, what's the name of a franchise that began with a groundbreaking, genre-blending success, only to be mishandled by Hollywood for decades, and was revived by a later iteration that finally understood the appeal of the original? No, not that one. Or that one. Wow, that's a really good example. Never mind. Did you know there's a new movie coming out where a predator straps Catherine the Great to his back and fights a pterodactyl with a laser bow? Predator Badlands is scheduled to release in theaters on November 7th, and today we're going to prepare you with a refresher on the entire franchise along with details about the new film. Time codes are in the description, but I recommend that you stick around for the whole video, as I promise to include some killer clips along the way.
Get to the chopper!
The Predator franchise comprises a collection of movies, comics, novels, and video games that all relate to mankind's interactions with the trophy-hunting race of aliens colloquially known as the Predators, but more formally as the Yautja. And it all started with a hit film that premiered in 1987. To begin with, I'd like to discuss just what made the original Predator movies such a smash hit and why it inspired a massive universe of expanded media. In the 1980s, action movies that starred muscle-bound protagonists and science fiction films featuring alien monsters were all the rage. Writers Jim and John Thomas had an idea to bring these elements together with a screenplay titled Hunter, in which a lone protagonist would have to match wits against an alien life form. The idea that the alien would be hunting for sport was inspired by the famous 1924 short story, The Most Dangerous Game, which for those of you not familiar, tells the story of a world-famous hunter who is forced to survive in a harsh environment using only his wits when he becomes the prey of a sadistic aristocrat that has become bored with taking down the world's deadliest animals. This classic narrative of the hunter becoming the hunted has reached levels of near ubiquity in our culture today and has inspired a number of other outstanding characters and stories, including Marvel Comics' Kraven the Hunter, and one of my favorite episodes of Dexter's Laboratory.
I'll have your head, monkey! You can't escape me! I'm the greatest hunter in the universe!
In 1985, the screenplay was picked up by 20th Century Fox, who began development on a film that would be directed by John McTiernan, who would later go on to direct outstanding films like Die Hard and Last Action Hero. The design of the alien itself would be created by legendary special makeup effects artist Stan Winston, securing its legacy as one of the most popular and memorable movie monsters of all time. The screenplay was reworked and now centered on an ensemble of highly trained soldiers, and every member of the cast embodies their role so perfectly it's almost a miracle. Big names like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Carl Weathers, Bill Dukes, and Jesse Ventura helped convince the audience that their characters are the best at what they do, and what they do isn't very nice. The most unique and original aspect of Predator is how it transitions from a raucous and explosive action movie to a daylight horror film, complete with a monster that stalks our main characters and picks them off one by one, leaving Arnold as the archetypical final girl who must confront the monster face to face. You have to understand what a subversion it was at the time that such an invincible group of soldiers wasn't able to handle any threat with minimal casualties. All of these elements coming together along with an outstanding musical score composed by Alan Silvestri transformed what could have been another generic action movie into a truly great film.
I'm here! Kill me! Come on, kill me! I'm here! Come on! Do it now! Kill me!
Never one to pass up on merchandising a successful media property, the Hollywood machine quickly began cranking out Predator apparel and memorabilia, as well as a video game available for the NES that released in 1987. In 1989, Fox entered into a partnership with Dark Horse, who created the very first comic based on the franchise, titled Predator: Concrete Jungle, which would go on to influence the plot of the next feature film. Arnold's lack of interest in sequels at the time, as well as disputes over his salary, caused 20th Century Fox to delay making another Predator movie until they did so without him in 1990. And so Fox's attempts to recapture the success of the original film officially began. As it had been established that the predators prefer to hunt in the hottest environments, it was decided that the second movie would take place in the urban jungle of Los Angeles, California during a record-breaking heat wave. Predator 2 was directed by Stephen Hopkins and features the likes of Danny Glover, Gary Busey, Bill Paxton, and Kevin Peter Hall, who once again portrayed the iconic alien. Set 10 years after the original film in the at-the-time future of 1997, the sequel follows a group of police officers as they investigate a string of murders that leads them to a perpetrator who is not from this world. Although Predator 2 was seen as a failure at the box office by the studio, it has since gained a cult following of fans who appreciate the movie's expansion of the Predator's mythos and arsenal and its over-the-top B-movie appeal. Also, the sequel contains the first Easter egg that hints to a connection between the Alien and Predator films.
These steel-jawed beasts have a hunger for destruction. Can they be stopped by the ultimate galactic hunter? Predator! The battle is on. Aliens versus Predator.
Around the same time, Dark Horse Comics would once again lay the foundations for the future of the franchise with the release of their Alien vs. Predator series, which proved to be a very popular concept. Of course, the extremely deadly xenomorphs popularized by Ridley Scott's Alien would make for irresistible challenges to beings who are obsessed with hunting the most dangerous game. And even early on, fans really liked the idea of the two alien monsters existing in the same universe. Also, the first set of toys based on the franchise was released by Kenner in 1994 and featured a variety of predators not featured in the original film, each with their own names, backstories, and specialties. Adapting the concept, if not the actual plot lines from the comics, the 2000s would see two feature films that showcased clashes between the xenomorphs, Yautja, and hapless members of humanity. First, a film simply titled Alien vs. Predator premiered in 2004 and was met with puzzled if not negative reactions from longtime Predator fans, mostly in reaction to the studio's decisions to make the movie PG-13 and set in Antarctica, wildly diverging from the tone and lore established by previous films. Still, no matter how silly the actual story, predators fighting xenomorphs is always going to be really cool. Audiences loved the idea, and so a sequel titled Aliens vs. Predator Requiem premiered in 2007. Set in a small town and featuring a particularly unengaging storyline, Requiem is seen as a forgettable movie that didn't even possess the brief moments of greatness found in its predecessor.
They split us apart and they watched, testing us.
How do you know this?
Because that's what I would do.
The 2010s would bring us two very different entries into the mainline Predator franchise, beginning with a return to form in many ways with Predators. It was based on a script originally written by Robert Rodriguez, who has said that the title, which has a dual meaning, is also an allusion to James Cameron's Aliens. The film once again centers on a group of highly skilled individuals tracked by predators throughout a jungle environment, although this time our protagonists are strangers to each other at the film's outset and have no memory of how they arrived. Although some audiences felt the movie struggled in its second act and some elements were underdeveloped, the outstanding cast elevates every scene, and many fans were thrilled to see a return to familiarity and an expansion of the lore, including separate casts of Yautja as previously seen in expanded universe material. 2018's The Predator, however, took a different path. The film tells the story of a young boy who inadvertently summons a super predator to Earth and a group of ex-soldiers who team up with a biologist in order to stop it. The film was derided by many for its forced attempts at humor, inconsistent tone, and tedious plot that retreads tired and insensitive tropes regarding autism. It does possess positive aspects, of course, including standout performances from several of its leads, fast-paced action, and some creative character deaths. Finally, we arrive at the modern era of the Predator franchise. After the acquisition of 20th Century Fox by Disney in 2019, the Yautja officially joined the House of Mouse. Or did they? After some time evaluating how exactly to handle such a gory, violent property, plans were put in motion to refresh the franchise. Dan Trachtenberg would be the man chosen to direct the next feature film, and had been working on a project since 2016 with writer Patrick Asen that would eventually become the movie Prey, which began streaming in August of 2022. Set in 1719 in America's northern Great Plains, the film tells the story of Naru, a young Comanche woman who wishes to become a hunter and in doing so gain the respect of her people. The film cleverly examines multiple layers of prey and predator relationships, both literal and metaphorical, as Naru must not only defend herself and her people from the alien menace, but also from the threat of fur trappers who endanger their way of life. It was also widely praised for its historical and cultural accuracy, even going so far as to include a full Comanche language dub for the entire film, with the original indigenous cast returning to voice their roles. This was the first major film to offer a complete native language dub upon its release, setting a new bar for indigenous representation in cinema. After the success of Prey, Trachtenberg was put in charge of continuing the franchise, and his next entry would be the animated movie Predator: Killer of Killers, which debuted in 2025. The anthology film features 3 stories set in separate time periods, showcasing the Yautja's encounters with samurai in feudal Japan, Viking raiders, and a World War II pilot, respectively. Killer of Killers received an overwhelmingly positive reaction from fans and critics alike, praising its crisp animation style, excellent pacing, and brutally violent action sequences.
So this is your first hunt. You've come to the most dangerous planet in the universe.
Taking place in the far future and on remote planets such as Yautja Prime and the threat-filled hell world of Kalisk, Predator Badlands will revolve around the unlikely partnership of Dek and Thea. One a predator cast out by his people for being a runt, and the other an android designed by Weyland-Yutani who is in less than stellar condition at the time of their meeting. Once again, this film will mark a new direction for the series, being the first film to feature a predator as the central protagonist and forging a direct connection to the Alien franchise. The two will have to work together to survive on a planet filled with dangerous flora and fauna and other threats yet to be revealed. But from the trailers, it's clear that Dek, played by Demetrius Schuster Kolamatangi, wishes not only to survive, but to prove to himself and his people that he is a worthy hunter. It's been confirmed that Thea is only one amongst a series of identical-looking androids, as is the norm for Weyland-Yutani's designs, suggesting a dual role for Elle Fanning, who is best known for portraying Empress Catherine in Hulu's The Great. So let's compare with what we've discussed. We know the Predator franchise shines brightest when it combines explosive action with clever storytelling. It does best when it sticks close to its roots and doesn't bog down the simple hunter becomes the hunted dynamic that rests at its core. We know audiences like cool-looking aliens, enjoy seeing them fight each other, and love the idea of the Alien and Predator franchises existing in the same universe. Also, we've learned that engaging interactions between well-developed characters and palpable suspense elevate the films, and that Dan Trachtenberg seems to know what he's doing. Predator Badlands looks to be incorporating all these elements into what should prove to be an exciting and unique addition to the cinematic universe, and we can't wait to see it. Thank you for watching, and make sure to subscribe so you won't miss out on more introductions to outstanding films, shows, and anime. Now, off to your next class.
Hey, Kevin. Dear dignity. Sebediah, Timmy. Dicky Dido. Yeah!